Forget the mic on. I've actually found that tune.
لا لا ما يحتاج. Do you want to recite Quran, Yusuf, or are you putting you on the spot a bit? Because our usual reciters aren't here. Or at least they haven't arrived yet. No? Okay, that's fine. May it build up the confidence next time, inshallah. What do you think? Yeah? Inshallah. Bismillah. Okay, we're going to make a start, inshallah. Makes it more interesting. Have we started?
Are you using that for?
Yeah. Oh, did it work? If that works, I'll use that.
No, I've got the battery dead on the.
Salam alaikum. Alhamdulillah. How are you? Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in, in the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. All praise due to Allah. We ask Allah some peace and blessings on His final messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We ask Allah to teach us what will benefit us, to benefit us from what we are taught, and to increase us in knowledge. Ameen. Is Ibrahim here, sister? Is Ibrahim here? No? Is Ibrahim not your son? No, okay, that's fine. Okay, inshallah. So, we'll start, I'll recite some Quran, inshallah, and then we'll make a start. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والشمس وضحاها والقمر إذا تلاها والنهار إذا جلاها والليل إذا يغشاها والسماء وما بناها والأرض وما طحاها ونفس وما سواها فألهمها فجورها وتقواها قد أفلح من زكاها وقد خاب من دساها كذبت ثمود بطغواها إذ انبعث أشقاها فقال لهم رسول الله ناقة الله وسقياها فكذبوه فعقروها فدمدم عليهم ربهم بذنبهم فسواها ولا يخاف عقباها. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So, with Ramadan around the corner, naturally we wanted the topic today to be about fasting and Ramadan. But today we're going to be looking at fasting beyond just hunger and thirst. So how does this tie into our topic that we've been talking about on tazkiyah? How does this link in with what we've talked about in terms of tazkiyah? So let's do what we did last week, inshallah. I've got two questions for you. Question number one. I'll ask this, and then we'll have a bit of you can have discussion about the next two questions. So the first question is, what's the goal of fasting? What does Allah say in the Quran is the goal of fasting? So I'll say the beginning of the ayah. كتب عليكم الصيام كما كتب على الذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون. Okay, so my question is, and I want you to have a discussion with the people next to you. What is taqwa? Number one. And then Allah says in the ayahs around that is يريد الله بكم اليسر ولا يريد بكم العسر. How is fasting a form of ease? A form of ease. If you can tell them to come in, Rawan, tell everyone to come in, inshallah, yeah? So how is fasting ease, okay? So just spend a couple of minutes, talk, if you do a 4 there, inshallah, and the 3 of you, and then the sisters at the back, inshallah. What is taqwa, number 1? And number 2, how is Ramadan a form of ease? Ease, yani sahl, yusr. How is it yusr?
So what do you think of taqwa? It's not God conscious. I don't know, I think about like, taqwa is mahabbah, it's being fear of Allah, so that's why you want to be closer to Allah, because you are aware of Allah. Mercy, at the same time, there's a punishment, yeah? So there's a mercy and there's a punishment. So you want to be on the mercy side. So that's how I'm thinking.
Is it working?
What about you?
Yeah, I think how we would learn is the mercy.
To be closer to Allah. Closer to Allah. Yeah.
Give you another 10 seconds.
So how it's about fasting is falling of
Ease, yusr.
yeah. Because maybe like wipe our sins. So that's why I think
Okay, so 3, 2, 1. So I can hear lots of good discussions taking place. Okay, so let me go to this table for the first question. So what is it? What is taqwa? It's it? Observance, okay.
Being more aware of things that's happening inside of us.
Okay, so self-observance and being more aware of what's happening around you. Good. Anything you want to add on the other two tables? Yes, sister?
So we discussed taqwa as consciousness of Allah.
Consciousness.
To be constantly aware of Allah, to fear Allah. in what-
So consciousness and fear as well. Brilliant. Okay. Jazakallah khair. Let's move on to the second question then. So we'll go to this question, this table about ease, about yusr. Why does Allah say yuridu bikum yusr wa la yuridu bikum al-usr? Allah wants ease, He doesn't want difficulty for us. Why is that?
so. We talk about 4 options, yeah?
So it's easier to draw closer to Allah when you're fasting because you're remembering that you're doing it for His sake.
Excellent, yeah.
So good, taqwa.
Okay.
Second one, it's like, because like now we're fasting, like it's wiping your sins so you can, like you have more rewards.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jazakallah. Yes, sister at the back.
I just want to ask you what the brother said because, there's, okay, I'll just bring it down to my level as well as the perception about fasting, for example. The non-Muslims, for example, they look at it as something very difficult.
Mm.
But for me as a Muslim, I always tell them our way of life is not difficult. how we perceive Ramadan, for example, and how we apply it to ourselves, especially those of us at work.
Excellent, excellent. So, very good explanation of taqwa. So, very good translation of consciousness. Yes, brother.
Just gonna link question 1 and 2.
Yeah.
It's just clicked for us, so or at least for me. The taqwa, I've never really thought about it from the sense of self-observance, as in yes, you're conscious, but not only conscious for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but conscious of your actions, conscious of what you do. And actually, if you think about it, that creates the ease. So afterwards, once you're aware of your struggles, what you can and can't do, hopefully you can be more focused to work on it. Not just for Ramadan, but afterwards.
Yeah. Jazakallah khair, Jazakallah khair. Very good, very good. So this idea of being conscious, self-consciousness, if you want, God-conscious, yeah? God-conscious, being aware of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What Allah has told you to do, you do. What He told you not to do, you don't do. Yeah? And that linkage, so these interpretations in terms of ease are all very good interpretations, yeah? So the reason why this is so important is because many people will go through Ramadan and come out of Ramadan and not have achieved that objective. So if we go into Ramadan and we're not clear on what it is, then that's an issue. However, what's really important to highlight is that the Sahaba, until much further into the seerah, much further in. So how were they obtaining taqwa before Ramadan and fasting? Because they were obtaining taqwa, but they were doing it a harder way. So Allah brought in Ramadan as a way to make obtaining taqwa easier for us. Okay? So we don't have to go through the difficulties that the early Sahaba went through, and we can achieve taqwa much easier and quicker. So if you go into Ramadan with that mindset, rather than being worried about going into Ramadan and being happy when Ramadan finishes, you'll enjoy going into Ramadan and you'll be sad when Ramadan finishes. Okay? So what we want to focus on instead is what level of taqwa we're going to get to. So Ramadan is the ocean, fasting is to dive, worship is to swim, and taqwa is the pearl. So taqwa is the goal, is the objective. Okay? Now in terms of you working out and seeing what's the sign that you have taqwa. So everything, we gave some good definitions of taqwa, and we mentioned this in the past, but the signs that you have taqwa are the following. Okay, that you give preference for the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that you give preference for the sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, that you have mercy and compassion on creation, and that you have presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And these are themes that we always come back to in different weeks and different tazkiyah sessions. But that's really what it's all about. Now, how do you achieve this? Well, the word sawm actually comes from to abstain. So what we're doing is we're abstaining and we're training ourselves for self-discipline. That's what we're doing when we're fasting. It's a training program. It's a 30-day training program. And if seen like that, it's more holistic. Now, there's two things that we're going to come out with from today's session. Number one is everyone here is going to decide what level of fasting they're going to go for this year. What level of Ramadan. So I'm going to go through the levels and you're going to make that decision. Maybe talk about it with your family when you go home. And then you don't have to decide here today, but you're going to make a decision following this session. The second thing we're going to do is I'm going to give you something to facilitate being more present with Allah even today. Okay, so these are two things inshallah we're going to come out with. So, the Prophet peace be upon him says, whoever does not give up false speech and evil deeds while fasting, Allah has no need of his leaving food and drink. In other words, you might go and do all this effort, but if you haven't achieved the goal of Ramadan, actually you missed the point. And Allah doesn't need you to go hungry. Yeah? Allah isn't there to make things go hungry, because the ayah actually says Allah wants ease for you. So if you're thinking fasting is hard and you're sort of worrying about it a little bit, mashallah, the sister at the back, she says it's easy for her, which is fantastic. But if you're in that category, I'm going to miss the coffee in the morning type person like me, then if you go with that mindset, then it's going to be difficult, because we are seeing what's actually being made easy for us is the process of achieving taqwa. Okay? So, level one. Level one is what we're all familiar with in terms of fasting. So level one is to stop eating and drinking from dawn to dusk, to stop marital relations from dawn to dusk, to do our 5 daily prayers, which we'll be doing anyway, and Taraweeh as well. Okay? So we've got this young man here with us at the front. a young man at the back, some of the younger members, if they can do some of this, fantastic. Maybe they'll fast a day, a couple of days. They're working towards level 1. Level 1 is a big achievement, and it's not a small thing to achieve level 1. Yeah. But if you've been doing level 1 for 20, 30 years, then maybe you should consider doing at least level 2. Yeah. And I'm including myself in this, inshallah. So that is what we mean by level 1, to do those things and to be consistent with them, inshallah. And what will happen is if your taqwa level is like there now, yeah, hopefully by the end of Ramadan, your taqwa will have gone up a little bit, which is good. Fantastic. Yeah, you've done a good job with Ramadan. Okay. There's a little increase in your taqwa level. But we're going to be a bit more ambitious than that, because if you've all done already level 1, which I'm assuming many of you already have, then at least you want to go for level 2. So what is level 2? The fast of the whole individual person. So this is more than just the food and the drink. We're now going towards purification. We're going to use the Ramadan as a form of tazkiyah. So level 2 is to, as well as fast, we're going to purify our tongue, our eyes, and our feet. Yeah? So we've talked about this before, the tongue sheet and all that. Oh, I was going to try this and that, tried it. Now we're going to do it in Ramadan. We're going to finish the tongue sheet, 1 month, finish the eye sheet and the feet sheet. So no more, you can't kick your brother, kick your sister. Okay? Feet is more to do with going places that are haram. Yeah? But these are the two hard things. Probably for the sisters, it's more the tongue, and for the brothers, it's the eyes, but actually both struggle with both. Yeah? But this is why it's level 1. So these are like the big areas. So very in the body, there is a piece of flesh. If it is sound, the entire body is sound. And if it's corrupt, the entire body will be corrupt. Indeed, it is the heart. So what's happening now is your heart, which looks like this, we have all these entry points into the heart. Yeah? So we have all of the issues with the tongue. So we're going to fast all of these things now. In Ramadan, you're going to fast all of these things. So take a look at that, see which one you struggle with. That's going to stop in Ramadan. And you'll be surprised how you can do it. Shaitan's tied up. It's a lot easier. There's less whispering, all these kind of things. It's going to be much easier for you to now finally conquer this one. Yeah? The same with the ears as well. The eyes. So we said the tongue and the eyes in level 1. We didn't say the ears. We'll come back to that. The hand, the private parts, the stomach, and the feet. Okay? So the 3 in level 1 are the tongue, the feet, and the eyes. Yeah? This is what we'll do. And what will happen is that the moment your heart is blackened with all these black spots, because we're not stopping, we keep on going back. But hopefully over the course of Ramadan, as you purify all of these, your heart will become enlightened. And then you don't need to do that much worship. The problem is now is we have the windows open, so we do what we do in Ramadan, we just turn up the radiator. But if you close the windows, you just need to turn up the radiator a little bit and the room will warm up. Yeah? Now we all heard this before, it's not new to yourselves, but what Ramadan will do is will give you that potential to finally conquer one of these things. Yeah, to conquer these things. Okay, cool. So these now are the things that we talked about for level 1. Yeah? And with this, your taqwa level will go up higher to where, compared to if you just did level 1. At level 2 now, your taqwa level is going to go higher. Okay? It's going to go higher. Now, what you can do is you can make a statement at home. Right, I'm going to do level 2. That means, usually outside I'm struggling with my tongue, but because I want to do level 2 and I want to have this taqwa increase by the end of it, then I'm going to go for level 2. So that's why I'm saying everybody should, within your family, make a decision which level you want to go for. Okay? Should we do level 3? Bismillah. Yeah? To help facilitate, what we'll send after the session, inshallah, we'll send you the Ramadan tick sheet. So you've all had the sheets before, but there's now a special one for Ramadan. Yeah? And you just choose the level, and it's the same thing that you're used to. You put a tick if you do it, and you put a cross if you don't. Now, what if you are in Ramadan and then you actually put a cross? Throw Ramadan out the window. No, okay? I'll go back to level 1. No, what you do is you just start again. Start again. See, in apps, they'll gamify it with streaks. So who knows what I'm talking about? Put their hand up just as an idea. Yeah? or like, you know, you've done a streak of 5 days or whatever. That's the mentality you want to have. Like, beat that record. So if you did 3 days and you broke it, I'll do 4 or 5. See what's the biggest streak you can get to. How many consecutive days? Now, if you could do all of Ramadan, fantastic, yeah? But at least try and do this. Now, some of you already will be doing this. MashaAllah, we have a good group of brothers and sisters here. Some of you are already, you know, even if maybe you are not good with the tongue outside of Ramadan, like in Ramadan, you are much better. Sometimes people are already doing level 2, yeah? So then that's where we can do level 3, where we can do all of the organs. So now we include the ears, the hands, the stomach, and the private parts, as well as level 1, as well as level 2. Okay? And here's the beauty: if you can, if you struggled with your tazkiyah and you haven't been able to overcome, say, the tongue sheet, you've got an opportunity now to do all of the body in 1 month. Just imagine now. Then you can now move on to the mind sheet. It's a huge opportunity. It's quite exciting if you think of it like that. Okay? Now the food and the drink is less important. The food and drink is just a strengthening exercise. So like, okay, right. It's like warming up. You know when you go for a jog or exercise, the food and the drink becomes more like the warming up. Now, it's the warming up. Ramadan is the warming up. It's like you're driving to Scotland and you get obsessed with the sat nav and the radio and all these buttons, yeah? And you didn't drive to Scotland, yeah? Oh, fasting, it's really good. Intermittent fasting, it shows that it puts your body into autophagy and it recycles the old protein. That's not the point, yeah? I mean, that's like a side benefit. The main point, yes, Jolie?
When you fast, would it technically be technically like doing the stomach?
Yeah, you're right. But you could fast and still eat haram food when you break it. So technically you fasted that day and then you have, like, you know, drink some alcohol at the end. Yeah? Obviously you wouldn't do that, but do you see the point? There's a difference in fasting. It's like, that's what I'm saying. You can like miss the point of fasting because non-Muslims fast now. Many non-Muslims will fast. Yeah? Okay, we'll come back later inshallah to your question, yeah? I think everyone's excited about level 4 because maybe we haven't done level 4 before, okay? So level 4 now is now taking it a step further. It's not just stopping the sins, but it's transforming the usage of those organs, yeah? So now with your organs, what you're doing instead is you're directing them to things that you don't usually use them for, okay? So to use them for acts of worship. And this could be things that, again, maybe many of you already do, like helping out with your hands, going and doing more work at the food bank, or with your eyes reading Quran, with your ears listening to Quran or lectures, these sorts of things, and looking for new opportunities and new ways to use these organs that Allah's given you. Yeah? That would be a higher level. And with that, your taqwa level will also then increase. Yeah? So now look at where you were before and where you are now. So this is a summary of the 4 levels that we talked about. Yeah, level 1 where it's just fasting. Level 2 where it's fasting, but also, what do we say? What four body parts are we going to also purify? Tongue, ear, what was it? Eyes and feet. Okay. Level 3, we do all of them. We do all of them. So we add in hands, ears, private parts, and stomach. Okay. And then level 4 is we also transform. It's not just about stopping the sins. It's also, because tazkiyah doesn't just mean to purify, it means to grow. Yeah. You فلا تزكوا أنفسكم هو أعلم بمن اتقى. Don't build yourself up. Don't say, I'm really like good Muslim. Allah knows who is the person who has taqwa. That's what Allah says in the Quran. Yeah. So zakah also means to grow. When you give zakah, your wealth will grow. Allah will cause it to grow. Okay? Good. Now, I still think there are people here who do level 4. I have a good opinion of all of you in here. Yeah? So I think now for a lot of you, what you want to really consider is doing level 5. You ready for level 5? So, level 5 is you have to transform your thoughts now. Yeah? You're not allowed to think about sins. Okay, what does that mean? Think about sin. Well, I know obviously there's certain things that sins that I do that I now stop, can't even think about it anymore. But it goes more than that. Like, you can't think bad of other people. Imagine doing that in Ramadan for 30 days. You can't think anything bad of any people. Oh, but Marwan, you know, I sometimes just get these thoughts. I can't help it. I'm a bit like an overthinker. Well, there's good news, inshallah. Okay, 'cause the way that you actually do this is also quite practical as well. Okay. So what we do is first we need to understand how this works. So you'll get a thought that comes into your mind. You get a whisper. Okay. That's fine. الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس من الجنة والناس. Okay, jinn are locked up, but they're still nas. Yeah. Oh, but did you see what happens? And you might start thinking about it. Yeah, that was a bit dodgy. Yeah. So that's not the problem. The problem isn't there. The problem is what you do with it. So what you need to do, and we need to practice, is that you need to say أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم and get rid of it. Okay? Because what will then happen is that you will encourage good thoughts, because one of the sources of good thoughts is the angels. Yeah? And the angels will start to give you good thoughts. So you'll have less space for these bad thoughts. So it's like we said, it's a training program. This is a training program. Yeah? And with time, slowly you build that capacity where you really quickly get rid of bad thoughts. And you entertain them less and less and less. Now, like I said, this is like a 30-day training program. Just try it. You might as well try it. You know, like you do these boot camps. So, I can't do exercise. And you say, I'll do a boot camp for 30 days. Couch to 5K, stuff like that. Yeah? And then you go back to your old habits afterwards. But the point is, for like 30 days, you just do a challenge. Yeah? So we have that mindset that we'll do it just for like 30 days. Yeah? And it's the same point. So you're not going to do it every single day. You'll get crosses on your sheet. You start again. It's fine. But you're just far more conscious of it. Plus, because shaitan's locked up, it's going to be a lot easier to do it. So this is the time to try and do this, okay? Okay. And this is what we mean by the fasting of the whole individual, yeah? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala won't punish you for those things that just cross your mind, as long as you don't speak or act on it. So this will get rid of a lot of problems. If you come out of Ramadan and you've trained your thought process, that you just then find that you sin far less often because you have that training now. Okay? So here now, our taqwa level is far higher. And this is going to give us a huge boost for the rest of the year, inshallah, but with having this. Okay? Now, what about the remaining levels? We won't go through them in detail, but just to give you a bit of a flavor of them, we talked about level 5, to abstain from thoughts. Level 6 is also to purify the heart as well as the mind. Yeah? At the heart as well as the mind. So all the sheets to do with the heart, you start to do this. So you might start to install certain characteristics. There's the characteristic of gratitude, the characteristic of generosity, of modesty. Yeah? You might be more ambitious. Yeah? Level 7 is that you're just constantly thinking about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, constantly thinking about paradise, constantly thinking about the hereafter. Yeah? And then level 8 is where like you are just completely now with Allah. Like it's like and you might think this like sounds next level. Like Sheikh Murabit al-Hajj, who's Sheikh Hamza Yusuf's teacher from Mauritania, the people say that in the end of his life, he would have to he was constantly in the remembrance of Allah. If you talk to him, it's kind of like you're waking him up from sleep. So he'd come out of the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, yeah, to be able to speak to you. So it's hard for us to relate to these things if we've not seen anything like this or really appreciate what it's like this. But we're not aiming for level 8, at least you aim for a level higher than whatever level you're currently at. Yeah? So it could be level 2, level 3, level 4, level 5. Yeah? And inshallah, for the barakah, my encouragement would be that everybody picks a level. I'll send the sheet on the group. Pick a level. Okay? Keep it to yourself. Share it with your family if you want. If you don't want to share it, no problem, inshallah. Okay? But you're going to find this Ramadan different now. You'll find this Ramadan different. Okay? Yes, Julie? If you remember, I'll come back to you later, inshallah, okay? Now, I said to you I was going to come out from today's session with 2 things. Now, because we're going to go into Ramadan and we're probably going to have a bit of a break now. I'm not sure what Ustad Taha is going to do exactly. But there is something I've been thinking about this for a while, but I want to talk about Ramadan, so I'm going to squeeze this at the end. So forgive me if this is a bit squashed up, inshallah. I'm only going to do this like in 5 minutes, but this will also help you with this thing about the presence of Allah, because the last time I taught session, we talked about the names of Allah. Yeah, and I did want to get some feedback from you on that. But another way to really do this, I was really thinking about this, is when we talk about ihsan, that you worship Allah as if you see Him. Yeah, because this is something you can also work on in Taraweeh. Because we said that's part of level one anyway. So we're attending Taraweeh, especially if you don't understand what the Imam is saying. Because I used to say, oh, you need to go learn Arabic, but that's very difficult for people. Yeah, if you can learn Arabic, great. But this is something you can do. And we practiced this when we had that session on Salah, presence in Salah. Yeah, so I've been thinking about it since then. So it's this concept of having hudur, of having presence with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay, so I did a retreat. Richard came. I think Saqib, were you there? Oh yeah, you were there last weekend. I remember you being somewhere. Yes. So you were with us last weekend. Yes. So we were talking about this hudur, having presence with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yeah. So the analogy is given is that every act of worship is like one of the pieces of a tasbih. But the string, so like you've got one is Quran, one is Taraweeh, one is fasting, one is dhikr, dua. But the string that ties it all is presence with Allah. Because if you're making dua and you're not present with Allah, that dua won't be answered. Okay? So how do we train that? So another way to look at Ramadan, especially Taraweeh, is training presence. Training presence. And what we'll do, I'll give you a few tips now. So when we do dhikr now, and I want to do a proper full dhikr session, because sometimes we cut it short, is to really try and think about this. Okay, try and think about this. So, how to build presence? Well, we've actually covered the foundation of this already before, which is to always be aware that Allah is with you, Allah is seeing you, Allah is hearing you. And when we did the Salah demonstration, we talked about this, that Allah is seeing you and Allah is hearing you. Now those two are actually not difficult for us to really understand, because we are experiencing people seeing us all the time. And we're experiencing people hearing us all the time. So all we do is we just understand Allah is watching everything that we're doing. Allah is seeing everything that we're doing. Yeah? And the same with hearing as well. Whether you're saying it out loud, whether you're whispering, or whether you're just thinking it in your head, Allah's hearing that. But the thing I've always struggled with, and the thing that I think other people struggle with, is the idea that Allah's with you. Yeah, like what does that actually mean? So I've been thinking a lot about this, and that's where the names of Allah presentation a couple of weeks ago kind of came from. But I was thinking actually it can be a lot easier than that. That's it's much easier, because you don't have to learn all the names of Allah, which is great, and we should do that, but it's much easier. So just do a couple of things inshallah together. So the first thing is just take a breath. So everyone just do that for me, yeah? Take a couple of breaths. Now, what I want you to appreciate is you've been breathing this whole session. Yeah? But you've been breathing unconsciously. Actually, you haven't been breathing unconsciously. Allah has been making you breathe. But Allah didn't make you need to do that off your own back. Allah does that for you. So when we say Allah is with you, we're actually saying Allah is running you. Like Allah is functioning your body. Yeah? You can think of also blinking as well. So just don't blink. Yeah? And we're doing this to make ourselves conscious that we are blinking automatically. As soon as your eyes start to burn, okay, actually Allah was taking care of that. Yeah? The one that I want to do a bit of a deep dive on today is actually your heart. So just take your pulse for a second, because we're gonna try and do this now when we start the dhikr. Yeah? Is to come into the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that Allah has fully taken care of our heartbeats. Because your heart actually will pump 3 billion times in your lifetime. If you did 3 billion steps, you would walk around planet Earth 60,000 times. Yeah? And what your heart's doing is sending blood to 37 trillion cells in your body. Like the numbers just blows your mind away. 37, it's like you are the emperor of a metropolis. Yeah? Because 37 trillion, if you were to count to a million, it would take you 11 days. As a guess, how long do you think it would take you to count to 37 trillion? You know the answers. There's somebody else. Just a guess. Someone shout out. 1.1 million years. So just to count your own cells, it takes you 1.1 million years. And each cell is more complex than a Boeing 747. Okay? So it's just like, we're like, oh, if I was the Khalifa of the Ummah, you're the Khalifa of like a much bigger thing, yeah? And they're all whizzing away and doing all sorts of things in your body as we speak. It's pumping blood and oxygen to all these things, but you have these things in your blood called erythrocytes, yeah? It's like UFO shape. You've probably seen the little red things, yeah? It's sophisticated, and the body, we're talking about 900 million are produced, I think it's every hour, yeah? And they'll carry like, the hemoglobin will carry the oxygen, and it knows to take the oxygen and to bring back the carbon dioxide. At the same time, you have these soldiers fighting diseases. Yeah, your body will also produce antibodies. So if this antigen comes outside, your body has the ability to produce something that can fight that particular thing, like a lock and a key. It's all taking place inside your body now. Yeah. Again, it's not us really consciously doing these things. Allah is running all of this for us. He's given us control over a small number of things, which were eyes, ears, mouth, stomach, private parts, hands, feet. Okay, and Allah takes care of everything else. Yeah. If there's a small cut, you get a whole bunch of troops run to the cut with all the coagulation, and then so you don't bleed to death. Yeah. If you get really hot, your vessels will expand, and that's why you go red, because you're hot. If it's cold, they'll contract. That's where you go pale. Yeah. Your heart actually has its own its own power grid. It's called it's like a node that gives it so if you actually take the heart out of the body, it will still keep pumping, yeah? And it has a backup as well, just in case the first one doesn't work. Every day, your body will pump 9,000 liters of blood, which is enough to fill up 50 bathtubs, yeah? And over the course of your life, it's enough to fill 200 trucks. If you took all your capillaries, which is giving the blood to all the different parts of your body, it would wrap around the earth twice. That's inside your body now. Yeah, and some of them are so thin that the blood cells have to go in single file because they're that delicate. Yeah, and it has like a sophisticated system. So you have, if the blood goes one way, it can't come back. Yeah, a complex valve system, and it can go around the body really quickly. Like it can go around the whole body in just 1 minute. Yeah, and if you have some sort of emergency, you have a hormone will be released, and it will just tell the heart to pump faster. Again, all of this happening without our conscious thought. Allah's just taking care of that. And it doesn't take a break. Okay? So when we come into the presence now for the dhikr, you might think, oh, Ustaz Imran, that was incredible. Like, you're so knowledgeable about science and stuff. No, all you can do now is just go to ChatGPT and say, give me 15 facts about the ear that show that this must be designed by Allah. And it will do what I just did there. If you want to do this for all your body, it's just we're not aware of it. Okay, we didn't do anything particularly unusual there, but this is the thing. It's trying to build that presence. So we go into the mindset of Ramadan as a training ground for two things. Number one is to build taqwa, which should result in presence, but also with the things that we've covered in previous sessions and our understanding of presence, is that we should also be able to bring ourselves into the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because you just need these three keys. You remind yourself that Allah is watching you, Allah is hearing you, Allah is with you. Okay, and if you speak to Saqib or Richard, because we had a whole retreat just focusing on this, everybody by the end of it said, you know what, I feel a lot more presence. Yeah, without Ramadan. Imagine you put a Ramadan and fasting and all these other things on top, and you finally manage to purify one of these organs over the course of Ramadan. So we'll do the dhikr now, inshallah, and we'll just remind ourselves to come into the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And let's bring this up. The visual of seeing the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is also very, very effective, because essentially it's a way, it's in line with the hadith that we said, that you worship Allah as if you see Him. Yeah, you worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as if you see Him. So let me just open this again. So we'll start with the beginning a'mal, inshallah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أستغفر الله أستغفر الله أستغفر الله. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. أستغفر الله أستغفر الله أستغفر الله. ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله. مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا. مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا. مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم. على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم. مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا. مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا. محمد 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 سيد الكونين والثقلين والفريقين من عرب ومن عجم. محمد 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 سيد الكونين والثقلين والفريقين الفريقين من عرب ومن عجب مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا هو الحبيب الذي ترجى شفاعته لكل حول من الأهوال مقتحم مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا أنه لا إله إلا الله 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 أول آخر يا الله ظاهر باطن يا الله أول آخر يا الله ظاهر باطن يا الله 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 أول آخر يا الله ظاهر باطن يا الله أول آخر يا الله ظاهر باطن يا الله لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله لا مقصود إلا الله لا مقصود إلا الله لا مقصود إلا الله لا مقصود إلا الله 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 حافظ ناصر يا الله لا إله إلا الله مسجود إلا الله لا إله إلا الله مسجود إلا الله لا إله إلا أنت المولى أنت الحق ليس المولى إلا هو أنت المولى أنت الحق ليس المولى إلا هو حسبي ربي جل الله ما في قلبي غير الله حسبي ربي جل الله ما في قلبي غير الله حسبي ربي جل الله ما في قلبي غير الله محمد صلى الله لا إله إلا الله نور محمد صلى الله لا بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. May Allah help us to go and reach Ramadan and help us to make us a Ramadan where we achieve taqwa, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, give us a Ramadan where all our sins are forgiven and all of them are wiped away, Ya Rabbal Alameen. Oh Allah, we ask you to increase us in closeness to you, Ya Rabbal Alameen, and help us to stop all the sins that are keeping us distance, Ya Rabbal Alameen. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين. Probably Talha.